Hi, I'm Chuck Gibson. This is Loveland Beacon Talks. It is Christmas time in the city, and in Loveland, an old tradition has become a new tradition. We're talking SantaLand and the arrival of Santa Claus with the man whose childhood memories of Christmas in Loveland helped bring back a beloved Christmas tradition. You know David Terry from RP Diamond, but he gets credit for the return of SantaLand. David is joined by Art Jarvis as they share the story of SantaLand with us here on Loveland Beacon Talks. So welcome to Loveland Beacon Talks, David Terry, and also with David, Art Jarvis. So thank you for joining us here on Loveland Beacon Talks to tell us a little bit about the SantaLand that's coming up.
So SantaLand came from, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. When I was a kid here, town, SantaLand, or the Santa house used to sit out in front of, I think it was Becker's Drugs here in this plaza. And the day after Thanksgiving, the laundromat that's out there now was not there. It used to be a UDF. Right. So helicopter, they taped it all off. Helicopter brought Santa in. Wow. This parking lot was packed with kids and parents. And so you saw Santa arrive. He went over and got in his little house. You stood in line. You got a chance to go in and sit on his lap, tell him what you wanted, grab a candy cane, go out the other side, and that was that. And Santa sat out here periodically from that day after Thanksgiving up until, Christmas Eve. So you could go in anytime Mom and Dad came down, do some shopping or something like that to see Santa again. So that's kind of where it originated from. And we fast forward Facebook, about 2015, I see someone post a picture of the old house, the Santa house, dilapidated, just in shambles, sitting in some farm lot somewhere over in Warren County off of Adams Road. And I told my wife, Tammy, I said, hey, we ought to bring that back, because that was a really fun event for the kids in the community.
Well, that's how Santa came to town for Loveland all those years ago,
by helicopter.
For sure, yeah.
We're still working on that, but we'll get back to that later.
So, we'll get to that later.
So, that's kind of, we saw it, we just kind of envisioned it, but it didn't really have a direction. And so, where we're sitting at now, we had just recently moved over to the expanded and put our retail store over there, so we're sitting in the old retail store.
Well, and for the folks that are listening, David Terry, RP Diamond. So when he says where we're sitting at now, he's talking about the RP Diamond
in Loveland Plaza.
At the Loveland Plaza, just so people listening will be caught up with us here.
So what we did is we got in contact with the high school and with the art department. And I went in and made a presentation to one of the classes. And the teacher was kind enough to allow us to come in there and do that. And so they just asked for volunteers. So what we had them do, there's about 5 or 6 of them, came down here for about 2 weeks. I gave them a budget and told them to decorate the inside of this like a little winter wonderland. And we were going to set Santa up, which we did. It worked out great. Looked fantastic. The kids did a great job. Just not a lot of foot traffic, not a lot of word of mouth. It wasn't getting out. The big key is the Santa house. Would you agree? I mean, that's the draw.
Oh, no doubt.
Okay, so did that for a couple of years. So we started this back in 2016.
Okay.
So we did 2 years in here, and then we moved it. Art kind of saw it, and for lack of a better word, he kind of always said he was inspired because I had so much passion for the project. Am I right? Go ahead.
I embraced the vision. I mean, you just watched him tell the story, right?
Right.
So that back 7 years ago, he's talking about this, talking about what a big deal it was in Love and all that stuff, and you could just see the excitement about it, right?
Right.
This is something I want to do. I'm like, let's do it. I mean, it meets all those things. It's a big community thing. It's great for the kids. It's great for the community. I'm a big fan. I'm passionate about people that have passion about stuff. I say that all the time. So that was the thing. It's like, let's do it. And I'm sure he's getting ready to say it, but it's grown a little bit in the last 7 years, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, from there, I mean, and even I, David, I remember because we got together when you brought the Santa.
Outside.
What do you call it? The Santa.
We call it SantaLand.
Okay, but I mean the building itself. What do you?
It's Santa's house.
Okay,
Nothing.
So when you brought Santa's house back, which was November 2019.
Yes.
Yeah.
18. Actually, 18 was the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 years inside, 1 year. Yeah.
All right.
So, and the cool thing is that I don't want to say brother-in-law, John.
He's a member of the family.
Jedi Masters.
All right. Yeah.
He came. We met. He'd never seen it. I gave him my mental vision of a 7, 8, 10-year-old boy and what I could remember of this thing. He calls me one day and says it's done. So I didn't know what to expect. My expectations were low. I didn't know. They come rolling up here and throw this thing together in the parking lot in about an hour, and I had tears coming down my eyes. I'm like, how did you nail this?
Yeah.
This is perfect.
I was stunned. I was stunned how nice it was.
And this is just all off of what I told him.
So now the one, and it's back again. Like you said, it's come, and it's back again. But that's the one that you started with from the Jedi Master.
Yes.
Which I forgot. I forgot about that part of the story. The Jedi Master. I love that. That first year you got back out on the parking lot area.
Yeah. So trials and tribulations. Santa's house was always right here. Quote unquote in the fire lane. It was never an issue.
Right.
And so proper channels, and that didn't go well. Because it's a fire lane now. Apparently it wasn't in the 70s, but anyway, I digress. So contacted the landlord. Hey, we want to throw on this community event. He's like, hey, I get it. I said, that part of the parking lot down there towards the BP, out in front of Goodwill is seldom used, if at all. And I said, we'd like to rope off a section of that. And he said, have at it.
Yeah.
And so... every year there's a different hurdle, different challenge, but it's fun. I mean, it's a learning experience. I have a lot more appreciation for folks around town and other places that put events on now. Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into it, I can tell you that.
For sure.
So anyway.
But when and that brings us to a quick question on it, David, is like when it comes down at the end of this SantaLand, event, mm-hmm. you sort of start planning for next year, or how fast you guys got to start thinking about what are we going to do that'll be different, or what are we doing this year?
Usually it was probably June, but what we noticed in the 1 year is that 5 months before the event was too late.
Yeah.
Because we missed out on the one train that we had our hopes set to have. Yeah. We had one, but it was more of a kiddie car,
It wasn't the one you were aiming for.
And so you live and learn. So now we meet in January.
Yeah.
Because it's fresh on your mind for the most part. We know what we've done, kind of figure out what we want to do. Art has always got something up his sleeve that he wants to improve, and I'm like,
onward and upward.
We're running out of parking lot there, my friend. So,
but and Dave will probably say this to you is I don't know. A couple of years into this, I looked at him. I said, "This is a thing now, right?
It is.
It's a thing,
as it was when you were a kid.
Right?
Yes,
yeah, it's a thing.
But it's even more of a thing. Here we are now in year whatever it is, 6 or 7, right? And from a point, it's not a situation where you're kind of going, hey, are we going to do this again next year? We know in January that we're doing it again next year, right? So and we've had 3 or 4 meetings this year. We're getting all structured and everything. So
it's starting to become like for us, there's just more than making a couple of phone calls, and we went from Jarvis Global Investments and RP Diamond to we got 9 sponsors now. I mean that's people that get it. Yeah. They're starting to see that. Can I envision it being in this parking lot? I'd love for it to be here forever. Is that realistic? Probably not where we want to take it. But it's my baby, and I don't know if I can let it go because this is the parking lot. This is where the magic happened.
Well, that again for you, it's where the memory is.
But
to begin with, right?
And the most ironic thing when you say that, the memory for me, you would be surprised at how many people that still live in town, that we all went to school together, even though they might be a little bit older or a little bit younger, they talk more about it and bringing their grandkids down here. This is what we used to do back when I was your age. They get just as big a kick out of it. Because back then it wasn't an event other than him landing in the helicopter, shaking some hands, walking around, and then going sitting in his house. That was the event.
Right.
This is, you get Santa, you get a train, you get your face painted, you get pizza, you get hot chocolate, you can play games, you can get a character artist picture, you can do an alpine slide, and oh yeah, by the way, we finally got Art's reindeer coming in this year. So
don't call them my reindeer. Let's see how it goes first.
Well, you beat.
Elves, I mean,
well, you beat me to the punch, David, because that was going to be the very next question. So exactly what is it? Because it's now, like you said, it's not just. And right now, Santa comes in on the fire truck, not the helicopter yet. But it's not just Santa comes in on the on the truck and shakes a few hands. It is all those things you just mentioned. Like I said, I was going to ask you about that.
I've got a friend, neighbor of mine, deputy chief for the fire department. And 2 years ago, he said, his last word, I was running over to La Rosa's because Sam's one of the guys that sponsors. Sure. I was picking up the first load of pizzas to come over, and I was a tad bit late pulling in the parking lot. And the next thing I know, there's like 5 fire truck, rescue, the Loveland Police Department. I mean, we've got like 10 or 12 vehicles coming around the corner with the lights flashing and the sirens going. Yeah. So they just took that upon themselves to say, hey, I get it. Yeah. This is starting to become a thing now. Yeah. Let's hop on board, full-fledged. Let's make a grandiose interest for all these people. And that's just one other aspect of it that's kind of just ballooned, beyond expectation.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Well, so real quick, Saturday, December 2nd.
Yes.
From noon to 4 p.m.
Yes.
And I want to touch on something again, because that first year that you came back outside with the Santa house, and I was here, it's exactly what you just said a minute ago, David. The number of people that came that said, I remember this, and they told me some of those stories from when they were a kid, just like you. So I'm sure, as you said, each year that's grown. What did it look like as we're coming up? As we're talking today on Monday, whatever. 27. I guess today the 27th. And I had to think about the dates. I won't say how I remember the 27th, but you got it first. But anyway, here we are recording this on Monday the 27th. So this Saturday, December 2nd, noon to 4. You're just a few days away. But what did it look like last year? Because it's grown. How many? What would you say the number of people that come through and bring their kids and grandchildren?
We do a goodie bag. Yeah. First and foremost, everything is free. So
right. I'm glad you said that, because I forgot to say that.
We got wonderful sponsors. Like I said, Art with Jarvis Global Investments has been here since day one. And
your memory and Art's vision.
And yeah, so we've just added a lot more people, so it allows us more opportunity to, let's say, add a new attraction each year.
Yeah.
And we've got several lined up. We just kind of, as a group or committee, decide which one we think we want to go to. So to answer your question, I think we started with, we had a face painter and a character artist and a train.
Right. And don't forget the band the first year when it.
Well, you did have one, and you guys had the balloon elves.
They're here. Well, we had carolers, and that was okay, but it just didn't fit. So we replaced that with the balloon elves, a little bit more interactive, a little bit more kid friendly. Once again. Which is a good thing. And then, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we added the Alpine slide.
Yeah, which is a big hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been here personally to witness that yet, but I'm sure that's a big hit.
And
If
then,
you want to wear your kids out, just bring them when they can just keep running around in circles, going up and down the Alpine slide. So
yeah.
That's a good tip for the parents, because sometimes that's exactly what we want to do.
I'm here to help.
Especially as you get nearer to Christmas, like we're in the beginning of December. Wear the kids out so they'll go to sleep.
All right.
Yeah. And then, so this year, we've added live reindeer. So we're having them trucked in from a farm over in Indiana. And don't know what to expect. I'm hoping it's all good. We'll see how well it goes.
The kids will love it.
Oh, and by the way,
Pretty sure the parents will too, but that's a different side.
not to be sponsor crazy here, but I've got Kayla Rose Photography and Kayla Marie Photography, two neighbor girls that I've seen grow up.
Yeah.
Both went their own ways into the photography business. They're going to be taking snapshots from outside through the window. That'll be open.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to be able to have the ability for the folks to go online and download their picture
Oh, cool. Yeah.
at no charge.
Yeah. That's nice.
So,
yeah. That's a pretty darn good sponsor that's going to take those shots and make them available to the people.
Yeah, so one will be taking the shots, the other one, and they're going to intermingle, so they'll switch spots taking the photos with Santa, and others will be walking around the event snapping photos as well.
Well, when we wrap up, I'm going to let you run through the whole list.
Okay.
I don't want you to do it now, but I do want you to have that opportunity to thank the sponsors.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I think we've covered that Art Jarvis fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jarvis Global Investments LLC jumped in right away. So obviously, you know, the main attraction, it starts with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Yes.
So what happened? You just kind of mentioned. So when the kids go into Santa house, the photographers will be outside. What else happens? You know, in there? I mean, they get to sit down.
They sit down on Santa's lap. It's just how it was planned. Sit down, tell Santa what you want. Get a ho-ho-ho, get your picture taken, grab your candy cane, and head back out and check out the rest of the event.
In all fairness, Mrs. Claus will be there too.
Yes.
Did I say it? Did we say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want
So
to
Santa and
don't want to
Mrs.
slide
Claus.
Mrs. Claus.
So now the Christmas train, I want to touch on that with you, David, too, because, you know, you mentioned that you found out real quick that if you wait, 5 months before, you might not get the train you're looking for. So the Christmas train, what's that? What's the story on the Christmas train?
It's just, it doesn't look like a kiddie toy. It looks like a train scaled down to kids' size.
Yeah.
They call it, I think it's called the American Express, but it looks like a train.
Yeah.
And they put lights on it. So it's just that, it's got that Christmas feel. It's got that.
Yeah. Well, and the kids can get it. I mean, train rides around.
Yeah, they just do a
around.
short couple of laps around the back side of the Santa house, and you can get out, get back in line, do whatever. But yeah, that's the ironic thing is when I picked the phone up to call, the gal at the company that we rented from was like, "Oh yeah, we kind of figured you were a regular now, so we already have you penciled in for the first Saturday in December."
That's good.
So yeah.
Well, this is the return of an old Loveland tradition, but has become clearly a new tradition.
Yes.
I mean, even we'll call them the vendors, they've got you penciled in.
Yes.
So SantaLand in Loveland is a thing.
I'd like to think so.
So you talk about what you have, and that's grown. I mean, the Christmas train, the balloon elves, the caricature artist is back, face painting, alpine slide, and then Art's vision of the reindeer coming this year, which we don't know what that's going to look like yet. As you said,
that'll be an interesting setup.
What that's going to be, but how about in terms of the people coming out, like me and my grandkids, or me and my kids, whoever me is, out there in the community, the people that come and show up. What's that looked like as it's grown over the last couple of years? I mean, what kind of crowd do you get?
I would say the first thing we found out, besides it was extremely frigid the first time we did it,
cold.
as at 4 to 9 at night was not a good time slot.
Well, the noon to 4. is just so nobody gets confused. 12 noon to 4 o'clock now. So hopefully sunshine
is much better. Well, yeah, a little bit of rain in the forecast. I won't say, but we're still going to be fine because it'll be supposed to be in the 50s, the low 50s. Right. So all is well. Yeah, the kids get a little goodie bag. It's got 8 or 9 different little trinkety things in there, just for showing up and seeing and walking around. So that's kind of where we have always done the count from. This year I've added the old, you'll be familiar with this, I'm going to go ahead and install that high-tech pitch counter. So the person standing at the front door there will be counting heads as they go in. Because I've never really had a count for the adults. It's only the kids that take the bags. We typically pre-make about 144 bags. That seems to be how the goodies are sold in quantities of. So I would say first year, 75 or 80. Yeah. As we progressed, the numbers have gone up. I would say last year we probably had somewhere in the 130s.
Wow.
And, so we're set for 144. I hope, I hate to say it, I hope we run out and I have to go run somewhere to put something together for some kids. But, that's just one of the variables you don't know.
Right.
How that's going to turn out.
Well, I'm gonna toss over to Art for just a minute before I have another question for you, David. But for you, Art, I mean, has it been, kind of what you saw when you said let's do it? I mean, what's it been like for you?
Yeah, for me, it's been amazing. I mean, again, you kind of know me a little bit. I love being a part of something like this, right? You can tell this is something that pulls at David's heartstrings. I mean, I remember times when I was a kid, and these memories of like going to downtown Cincinnati and seeing all the animated elves and walking along whatever it was, McAlpins or Shillitoes and the windows and all that. I mean, that's stuff that pulls at your heartstrings, right? So when he starts talking about this is the Loveland version of that and how it was and all that stuff, yeah, and I think, it's like any other activity. You live and learn, right? Every year you learn a little bit. Hey, we did this really well. We didn't do this so well. And then, and I think that's like he said, it's 12 to 4. And there's a reason it's 12 to 4 because we learned that was the time to do it and not some other time. So, for me, I get a lot of joy out of it. Let's put it that way. I've seen people come up to him and mention, thank you so much for bringing this back and everything. I've seen it happen. And, I'm a little on the soft side, so I love seeing the kids. I love seeing the kids having fun. I mean, they're there. They're getting their faces painted. They're getting hot chocolate. They're playing games. They're going up and down there's a jumpy house. They're doing this alpine slide thing. They're getting to see Santa Claus. They're getting to ride on a train. You're getting to do all this stuff. And guess what? It doesn't cost a dime. Yeah. So.
Well, that's and I'm touching on that again. Caricature artist, no cost. I mean, if I say I want to go get the caricature artist,
just get in line.
Just get in line.
Yeah.
Well, and then that's another great point, David. Get in line. So, like, if you had 130 kids or families or whatever that come, waiting in line to see Santa Claus, if you go to whatever the department store is, you're just standing there waiting in line. This SantaLand, and I have witnessed it, even though I haven't been there the last couple of years. You're not just standing waiting in line to see Santa. You've got all these great events and things. People can, be entertained and have fun while they wait. And it just seems like the line doesn't really get that long because they're doing other things. So that's a great thing.
I mean, inside that tent is the face painter and the character artist.
Yeah.
The hot chocolate and the pizza is served from the inside of that tent, but it's actually accessed from the outside. And then that's where we have a couple high school volunteers that come down, and they run a little gaming station. And it's nothing fancy. I mean, it's just a couple little kiddie games, and then here's your prize at the end. I mean, but it's all in there. So if you're standing in line with mom and dad, and you're the third one in line, and it's going to take 15 minutes, you're doing one of these other activities. Or like you said, let's pop back out, let's go ride the train, and we'll come back in. I've never had a complaint, and I've never seen the line not move. I've never had to say anything to the character artist or the face painter. They know what's going on. It's,
That's good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, so this is the fun part. This isn't video. People are going to be listening to this, and I wanted to tell them a few minutes ago because you should see your face.
Okay.
And they should see your face, David, when you're telling it. I mean, people, you got to know it's a real thing in David's heart.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a very sincere love of sharing this with the community. I mean, your eyes are just lit up.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch you tell the story. So, and by the way, a side note too, you probably already know this because you know Art pretty well. He is a softie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna.
Just don't tell anybody.
We just told everybody. So we were just talking about Thanksgiving, on a recent, Art's Taking Stock show. With a little plug for Taking Stock there. But people, you need to listen to that, by the way. But tears.
Oh,
Talking about Thanksgiving. I didn't say by his name. I'm just saying tears while you're talking about Thanksgiving. Yeah, Art's a soft. So's Chuck. So I'm not. Hey, might as well give myself up. My wife says I'll cry at the drop of a hat. But anyway, before we totally wrap it up, the thing I want to ask you is because you have this going now, and this is probably the 8th year.
I think this will be
Is this
7. Yeah.
Okay, this is the 7th.
Because we did not
16,
do it.
17. Oh, right. Yeah, there was 1 year. Right, because of the COVID year. So this is the 7th year. So the question for you, Mr. SantaLand, is what has this meant to you to see the people come out and to put this together each year?
Exceeded my expectations. We took a big risk. I mean, from moving it in here where there's little to no cost
Right.
to
right.
building a house, filling a parking lot with stuff for the kids to do, and then, I'm not going to lie, the first year we did it, we looked at each other and was like, okay, went okay, but okay, we'll give this another shot. And then the numbers increased, and then you start listening to the people that attend. And it means a lot to them. And like I said, the folks that are around my age, when they're bringing their grandkids down, if you see joy on my face, it's probably the same way when you see them standing in line. Or like, this is way different. I mean, it was cool when he came in on the helicopter because everybody was here in town. I mean, they were out here waiting to, get in line. But this has more. I wanted to make it bigger. I wanted to make it a little bit different. I wanted to make it, I guess, unique. And Art and I think, have accomplished that.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid to listen to suggestions. We do this by committee.
Oh, 100%. It's getting better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Bigger, I mean, better. But just the sheer enjoyment of seeing the kids have a good time is priceless. It's worth every hour and every headache and every ulcer that goes into this the final 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I keep
wouldn't
repeating
do it any other way.
I keep repeating it, so I'll say it again. SantaLand, this Saturday, December 2nd, and for an address, 368 Loveland Madera Road. But the Loveland Plaza is what people will recognize.
Yeah.
And how is Santa arriving? Since he's not coming on helicopter this year, how is Santa getting
Santa will be in a Loveland Sims Fire Department fire truck with his lovely bride, Mrs. Claus.
Right.
And they will be escorted through town by other various Loveland Sims Fire Department vehicles along with Loveland Police Department.
Perfect.
So
12 noon to 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing the story. He doesn't need to remind us this. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing the story of where it comes from and sharing the joy that you have while sharing the story. But it doesn't happen without the help of the people like these sponsors that are on the flyer. So give a shout out to those people that help make this happen for Loveland.
Well, obviously, everybody knows Sam from Loveland La Roses. Eads Fence, they donate the fencing so we can barricade the entrance exit off to allow us to barricade the event up. Of course, Shed Eye Master, the ones that built the shed, and they show up every year. Of course, the fire department, Loveland Sims Fire Department, and the Loveland Police Department. Another great sponsor that got on board rather early in this is Rob and Angela from Oasis Turf and Tree, former neighbors of mine, still good friends. I mentioned both Kayla's, Kayla Rose Photography and Kayla Marie Photography. And then we got 3 new ones this year.
Yeah.
Soars Towing out of Milford, and Soars Sharon Woods Collision Center. They're located right across from the entrance to Sharon Woods. And then we were talking about high school footballers just before this, from back in our day. But one kid that went to school with our boys is like the owner, GM, the big
owner operator,
the big kahuna up at Carrabba's Italian Grill up there on Merton Drive up there in Mason.
Right.
So he heard about it because Art's son, AJ, Austin, and daughter Caitlin do help out. They're part of the planning committee, and they're friends. So he heard about it and was like, wow, sounds like something Carrabba's needs to be involved in, and made a significant contribution this year, and wants to be a part of it.
Outstanding. And then, of course,
well,
the guy with
okay, I got to plug him one more time.
One last time.
Jarvis Global Investments, and then, of course, yours truly, myself, Tam.
Well, I was going to say, don't leave out RP Diamond,
yeah.
because obviously your business, it's not just David's dream and memories. It's you guys contribute something to make it happen.
But it's, the closest, other than having a name on some of the advertisements and the address being the address to the shop, this is not a ploy for a retail gathering. This is a community event, period. It's
the Santa House at SantaLand for everybody.
Yes.
And it doesn't cost you a dime.
Free of charge.
So,
can I say one last thing?
Why, certainly.
I think, David and Tammy, they do a real good job of pushing stuff off to other people. But, they are the ones that have made this happen. It was their vision, and they're the ones that keep this going. David and Tammy, they're and probably the boys, are doing the lion's share of the work, okay? So, if you come down here this weekend, you have a good time, I would highly recommend that you tell Dave and Tammy thank you, because they're fully responsible for this. So, them and RP Diamond Embroidery.
and on that note, that's a good tribute to you, David, and to your wife, Tammy, and the boys, Ryan and Peyton, for helping make this happen. But thank you for coming on Loveland Beacon Talks and sharing the story. Hopefully it's a great day Saturday. I'm sure it will be, so have a lot of fun. And Art, thank you for joining us as well and sharing, your part of the SantaLand.
Thank you.
You do. Appreciate you.
So everybody, come on out to SantaLand this Saturday, December 2nd, from noon to 4 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus in the Santa House and enjoy a variety of Christmas fun activities and live reindeer at the Loveland Plaza at 368 Loveland Madera Road. I'm Chuck Gibson saying thanks for listening here on Loveland Beacon. Loveland Beacon Talks is a presentation of Loveland Beacon Digital Media and Gibson Communications, LLC.